What is going on, everyone? Anthony Drew Gary here, host of The How To Show, where we talk about optimizing life, money, and happiness one how to at a time. I am about 75 videos into The How To Show now, and if I've learned one thing over the course of doing that, it's that I've only got your attention for about 5 minutes before I lose you. So I'm going to do as best I can to dive into part 2 of retirement and really retirement planning. And today we're going to talk about how to determine if you're on track to retire. So without further ado, we're going to go straight over to Zoom so that we can show a little bit of numbers and a web page or two, and we'll dive right in. A quick reminder, if you're checking this out in podcast form, there is an associated YouTube link to the video description so that you can check out the video version as well and get the benefit of that. So without further ado, let's switch over to Zoom. All right, so this is a continuation of last week's video in a lot of ways. If you've not checked that video out, the link is overhead now. And what we're basing everything on is the $50,000 a year in spending that somebody needs for themselves and family, whatever their situation is. We're going to use that $50,000. And so what we need to do is determine how we're going to get to $50,000 a year. And so if we use the cells that we've got based out here, we've got some potential sources of retirement income. That includes Social Security, a 401k, maybe an IRA, maybe a pension, maybe real estate income. And I want to talk about each one of these individually so that we can start to build our assumptions toward whatever that $50,000 is. So if we talk about our assumptions, we'll say we're currently 35 years old. We want to retire at 60. We think the stock market is going to return on average 7.5%. I think that's fair. Somewhere between 7 and 8% is usually quoted, so we'll split the difference. We're going to talk about continuing to contribute to a 401k for $200 a month for the entirety of the rest of that person's working career. And an important note to this is that it does not account for taxes in the 4% rule, and that's because this $50,000 is based on how much you spent, not how much you earned. So realistically, you are going to need to provide some number in excess of $50,000 so you can cover your taxes later on. That's the great mystery of retirement planning. Nobody really knows what the tax rates are going to be once you get to retirement age. So maybe it makes sense that this IRA is a Roth IRA, or this 401k, maybe you have access to it as a 401k that has a Roth component to it. Or maybe you're doing some tax advantaged real estate investing, something along those scenarios. Ultimately, you just need to make sure that what you're saving for will be able to clear $50,000 once the taxes are taken out. I did another video that talks about the different categories of retirement accounts. You can check that out here, and it'll give you an idea of when things are taxed, how things are taxed, and it'll better help you understand that if you've not checked that out. So the first line that we have here is Social Security, and we've got $12,000 per year plugged into this, and that may make sense. It may make no sense at all, depending on where you are in your life. And so there is a tool out on the internet that is provided by Social Security Administration.gov, and this is a benefits calculator. You plug in your date of birth, what you currently make, when you expect to retire, and they will spit you out a number of what you might expect to receive in Social Security dollars. I want to place a heavy caveat on this website that it will spit out information for you even if you are between 22 and let's say 30 years of age. And depending on how much confidence you have in the Social Security system, maybe you want to use that number that they spit out. Or if you are like the majority of the Americans that do not believe Social Security is going to be around when you retire, maybe you want to set that number to 0. So we'll go back to our Excel sheet, and this cell right here, this could be 12,000, this could be 24,000, this cell could be 0. It's just a number that you need to be thinking about as part of your overall plan. So the next line we've got here is our 401k. And so let's start to think about how we will calculate what this number is. Right now it shows 16,822, but how in the world did we get there? Let's talk about it. We'll say that for the sake of assumptions, the 35-year-old has already invested over the course of the time that they've been working from whenever they join the workforce till age 35, and their balance so far is $35,000. That's a good starting point, a basis for all the rest of the calculations you see on this portion of the sheet. And from our assumptions over here, this person is contributing $200 a month, which is $2,400 a year. That is consistent throughout the entirety of age 35 to age 60. And so the market gain is the equivalent of the numbers in columns H and I, and that's multiplied by 7.5%. And you get to a new balance. So when we started at 35, we added 24 more, the market appreciated on average, and the new balance is $40,000. It's important to note on average because this is not a perfect scenario. The market is not going to return 7.5% every year. Sometimes it will be higher, sometimes it will be lower, but we have to assume something in order to play this out and to have a number behind it. So we take our new balance of 40,205, we plug it into the next line below for your age 36, you make a contribution, you get a gain, you get a new number, 45.8. You carry this process all the way down to the time that it's time to retire, you get a number that is 420,566. And using that 4% rule from the last video, 4% of 420,566 is 16,822. And so that number can be plugged in here. And I've got this set up basically with a bunch of empty cells per year or per month. You can look at this either way. You just need to make sure you're being consistent. Don't plug something in that's per month and it really should be per year. That'll mess up your calculations by a multiple of 12. So that's plugged in, 16,822. So we've got an opportunity here for an IRA. Who knows if this person is contributing to one, but if they were, you could set the table up the same way this 401k table is set up. And ultimately, you'll get the same sort of idea. So you'll get a number that you can plug in here. A pension, it's questionable whether you work for a company that offers one of these. If you do, I would spend a lot of time picking the brain of the financial person within the company that runs that pension so that you can get some sort of understanding of what it might be worth come retirement time so that you can plug a line in there. And then I've put a line in here for real estate income. This is not going to apply to everyone, but if real estate investing or landlording is part of your overall plan, hopefully that's a way to generate some cash flow either on a monthly basis or times 12 for an annual basis. So you'd plug in a number here as well. And ultimately what we need to do is we need to come up with a solution where all of these lines here covers this $50,000 with the excess taxes that are baked into that. And so, that $50,000, you may need to make somewhere between $60,000 and $70,000 a year to be able to clear that 50 and make sure that you've got enough after the taxes, because there are a decent amount of retirement vehicles that will tax you later on. Just another thing that you've got to worry about there. So you've got these different buckets, and this is by no means exhaustive of all the different ways that you can fund your retirement. Maybe you've got a side hustle, maybe you've got some residual income, maybe you've got some inheritance, or maybe you're even doing a little part-time work and you're getting paid for it just because it's something that you're really passionate about. All of those lines start to feed into this sheet, and ultimately it will help you determine where you need to be relative to your retirement spending goals. So if you find out that 420 grand in your 401k at the age of 60 is not going to be enough, really the biggest change that you can make is how much you're plugging in per year, because the market is going to officially or functionally do what the market does. And so you can contribute or change your contributions to help get to your goals that way. And this is just a good framework to start to think about, where am I at relative to where I need to be? And it'll start to influence discussions of what do I need to do to change in order to make sure that I'm covered at the time that I plan to retire. If you think this Excel spreadsheet is going to be of value to you, leave me a comment down below. I'm happy to share it with you. There's not a ton of intelligence in it, but if that will help you, I am happy to share it. And so with that, we'll go ahead and switch back over to me on the big screen, because everybody loves me on the big screen, right? All right. That's going to bring the content for this episode to a close. Hopefully you're able to take that sort of a concept and apply it to your own life and push and pull the areas that are applicable to you. Not everything's going to work for everyone, but it'll start to give you an idea of, are you on pace, or do you need to do more, or can you back off a little bit and do less and still have an idea of where you're going to end up when you ultimately plan to retire. And the great thing about all of this is that you don't have to go this alone. I'm providing these videos in such a way that you can have the baseline understanding of the types of conversations that you might want to have with somebody who is a professional that does this day in, day out for a living. And so I highly recommend you check out somebody like that. Find yourself a financial planner, and I personally recommend that you find somebody who is a fiduciary, which means that they have your best interest at heart in the decisions that they make. And B, I would also try to find somebody who is what they call fee only. And basically what that means is you're paying for somebody's service. So if they charge by the hour, or maybe sometimes by the month or by the year on a subscription model, that's usually going to be a better model than somebody who charges you based on the amount of assets you have. So weigh those options in your own life, and hopefully you can get some benefit out of professional financial planning and analysis that way. So that'll bring this episode of the show to a close. As always, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I feel like a dingbat when I say that, but it's all the same stuff. If you have any ideas for future topics on the show, please leave a comment. Let me know about that. If somebody that you know can get value out of this show, please share it with them. It's good information for the world to know, and there are a lot of people who probably need to know more about this topic, because best I can tell, everyone wants to retire one day. And so if there's somebody that you care about, share the video with them. Let them know that it's one worth watching. Until next time, this is Anthony Drew Gary, host of The How To Show, signing off.